If you're watching this and you feel lost, it's better to just sit down and be like, I'm lost. Because the day you admit you're lost is the day you allow yourself to be found by people who can give you a tip. Everybody doesn't win. And the sooner you wake up to that biology is ruthless, man, then you get a little fear in you. And when you get a little fear in you, you start listening. Because if you're truly afraid, you listen. Everybody's lost, and the world's the blind leading the blind. So the ultimate adventure to me is not just like bungee jumping or something like that, or going to the Amish. It's trying to get insight and see life as a puzzle. And your goal in life is to seek the adventures that piece the puzzle together. So that at the end of your life, you like kind of get it. You kind of get it. I feel like most people don't get what life is. Like, think about it. It's like, what is life? Like, why are we driven with some basic instincts? What's the purpose, you know?
All right, so I know that you actually have a definition of the good life around the 4 pillars. What are the 4 pillars and how does it play into everything?
So yeah, I always say health, wealth, love, happiness, like kind of in that order. If you're not healthy, you won't care about anything. So I figured health is the trump card. And then the reason I put money second over love, it doesn't mean like you should try to get rich before love. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a classic kind of way to be happy, there's 5 levels to Maslow. So the bottom one is physiological or physical needs have to be met. Food, shelter, water. The second one is safety. You have to feel safe. The third one is love. And because if you don't have physical and safety right, you don't care about love. And if you don't believe me, look up the #1 reason people get divorced. It's financial issues. So I just figured money doesn't bring happiness, but the absence of money brings unhappiness. So health, wealth, and then love. And then if you get those 3, that's how you get happiness. Like happiness, there's so many books now about happiness. There's a good one called Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt. But at the core thing, to me, happiness is like soup. It's like if you make chicken noodle soup, but you forget the chicken, it's not chicken noodle soup. If you forget to put the broth in, it's just chicken and noodles. If you forget the noodles. So that's what I mean. Like happiness is a compilation of a whole bunch of stuff you do right. So the real truth is hard work is 25% of the formula because diligence is known in the common language as hard work, okay? So if you just think diligence alone will get you success, you're like a basketball player that thinks you'll play in the NBA because you can shoot free throws. You ever seen the best free throw shooters in the world? They're old 70-year-old men who shoot underhanded, but they don't play in the NBA because the NBA is not all about free throws. So NBA is scoring, defense, free throws maybe is one component, rebounding, assists, there's a lot of components. So the other 3 you have to get good at. So the first one is perfectionism. People, you have to know how to double check your work. It's that simple. It doesn't mean you're always a perfectionist, but it means when it's important, when you're a pilot of an airplane, double check before you go. If you get on a plane, you hear the pilots double checking, the co-pilot going, hydraulics. And the guy goes, hydraulics. And that's why planes don't crash. And it's called 6 Sigma. It's 3 defects per million. Your goal in business and in life on the important things is to make 3 mistakes per million transactions. And the only way you do that is by being a perfectionist in terms of double checking. So that's 25%. The next one is organization. I can't tell you how much better my life is and anybody watching this will be if you wake up every single day and you take 10 minutes. I have yellow notepads sitting all around my house. I got that from Bill Gates. Bill Gates built Microsoft at 17 by locking himself in a hotel room with 6 yellow notepads, and he wrote out the whole basic code for DOS and things that built Microsoft. Okay, he became the richest man in the world 18 years straight because he was organized enough to lock himself in a room and think through his day. And so what I try to do, and whenever I do this, I have a great day. Whenever I don't, I notice it. Be organized a little bit, 10 minutes. I actually have this little couch thing outside of my shower, and I put a notepad by it. I take a shower when I wake up. I walk over to that. I kind of sit there, and I just write out. I mean, it can be as little as 3 main projects you want to get done that day. So organization is the other 25%. So now, and then you have diligence, which is hard work, hustle, and perseverance. But the last one is the kicker. And this is what I was talking about, the rewiring that has to happen. The last one is something called prudence. Scientists call this prudence. Prudence is the ability to make the right decision. And I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs, even me at times too, I'm not special, I'm lumping all of us in this. Because of our upbringing in society, our goal is, let's say our goal is like that camera right there. So let's assume that's north. So I have this compass in my brain, and my goal is to go right there. Let's say it's a mile away, so north. What happens if society, my upbringing in school, wired my compass exactly backwards? So I think, let's say I can't see that camera, but I know I want to go north. So I pull out my compass, and it points that way. So I just take off walking. And I do it in an organized fashion. I do it in a perfectionist manner. I'm perfecting my steps and my posture. I'm also working on, hard work and hustle. Keep walking towards your goal. Well, the truth is, if you go south when you should go north, you could have gone 1 mile, but the earth is about 24,000 miles in circumference. So you get to walk 24,000 miles, and you'll come up on the backside, and you will get your goal. That's most entrepreneurs. The average person takes 20 years to become a millionaire. The problem is, art is long, but life is short. The art of living and getting to your objective is long, but it doesn't have to be. It's long if your compass is backwards. So the whole point of what I was saying about adventure at the beginning is, I'm trying to take my south and point it to the true north. And you have to learn that from books and mentors and life experience and listening and finding in-person mentors and all those things. They help adjust your compass. And most people are going to get what they want just about 40 years longer. You asked me one of the rewiring things we have to do in this world. I'll tell you one. You ever heard this myth? Everything happens for a reason, so just accept it. Well, there's kind of truth to that. If I jump off a building and break my legs, yes, everything happened for a reason. The reason was gravity. Like, that's why you break your legs, and physics. Legs brittle, concrete not brittle. So, but people interpret everything happens for a reason, be like, well, I was meant to learn from that thing, and then BS. Read Richard Dawkins' The Selfish Gene, one of the most important books written in the last century. He says, organisms that only learn through trial and error lose to organisms that can learn through other people's trial and error. Is anybody here, we got a little live audience, anybody here ever had to be hit by a car to learn to look both ways? I didn't. I kind of learned from just somebody telling me, big car, 2 tons, velocity, smash, dead. And I now always look both ways. So if your myth is that the only way you're going to learn is just through massive mistakes and trials and error, you haven't read Richard Dawkins' book. If you believe in evolution, or even you don't, you believe in creationism or whatever, why do we have big brains? Because we do have the biggest brains on planet Earth. Not always use them, but we got the biggest potential. It's to be able to, what Richard Dawkins called, project. So you can literally sit in this chair and predict outcomes without having to do them. Like, so I can predict, if I don't listen to Tom's advice on how to do a physical snack bar and get it into stores, or a physical product by playing hard to get for a year like you did, then I can predict most likely it's going to not go well for me. But I can predict that if I download what you did, it's going to go better for me statistically. And that skill makes you a powerful person. It wasn't meant to happen. Yes, everything happens for a reason. You made a bad choice, but it didn't have to be that way. And the second you build up pain, and this, by the way, is not my opinion. If you talk to guys like Dr. David Buss, top 10 most cited psychologist in history, okay, he's one of my main mentors. He told me, I said, do adults change? Like, we do all this self-help videos and podcasts. I said, am I wasting my time? He goes, yeah, kind of. I said, why? He said, well, after 25, it's very hard to teach old dogs new tricks. By the way, that's why I've changed. Most of my stuff targets people 18 to 25. That's why I do Snapchat and all that, because there's hope for 18 to 25-year-olds. Now, if you're over 25, before you get depressed, he told me, but I have good news for you, Ty. I said, what? He said, adults learn through massive trauma. So you will learn. You have to let in some trauma into your life. And that's rough, but no pain, no gain. Like if you are 100 pounds overweight and you want to be able to play basketball, here's my news for you. Everything happened for a reason. You got fat because you ate too much and you didn't exercise. So welcome to the gym. And the first year is going to be hell. But that pain, hopefully, will reprogram your brain that every time you want to eat that nasty thing, go, wait, I don't want to go through that pain again. So I think one of the myths of society is we won't let pain in. We just excuse it all away. Like, no, that was meant to happen. Oh, you wasted 20 years of life married to the wrong person in the wrong career? No, Tom, it was meant to happen. And I was lucky enough to sit next to Kobe Bryant for the last 3 games of his career. Not the very last one, but the 3 ones. So I sat at the end of the Lakers bench right next to him. One of his players, I won't say who, was having a bad game. Free throws, they're lined up, the whole stadium's quiet. Kobe Bryant yells out at him, he goes, dude, you suck. And he wasn't joking, okay? It was shocking to me. No one could hear it unless you're right next. But Kobe turned to Met at World Peace, Ron Artest, who was sitting next to him, and he goes, this positive reinforcement thing is way overrated. People need to hear the truth. Ryan Kelly, he turned around and looked at Kobe, and I was so impressed. He said, I know. He literally sat down and said, yep, I'm lost this game. And I kid you not, the rest of the game, he excelled. He scored 10, 12 points off the bench after that. And I was like, see, this Kobe guy gets it. He's a winner. You can't always just bring pleasure and pat everybody. Oh, he didn't say, yo, Kelly, you're kind of not playing well, but it's all happening for a reason, buddy. Relax, no pressure. He just said, dude, you suck. It was like that. And I'm just going, okay, this is the real Kobe. And because we're all narcissists because of society and Instagram and all this, and I'm guilty of that too, we don't like to be uncomfortable because a narcissist's story to themselves is, you're the best. And so your worldview is messed up. That's a wiring issue. Let me put it this way. I meet people who think they're smart, okay? What it really tells me is they've never been around actual smart people. If you're really smart watching this, let's say you have 155 IQ. That's what Bill Gates has, and Albert Einstein were up there. My step-grandfather had 155 IQ. He speaks 14 languages fluently. He can write Chinese. He's a chess master. He can play 3 other chess masters without looking at the board while they look at the board and beat all of them. If you're smart, you can do that. If you're not, I got good news for you. Warren Buffett says you only need about a 125 IQ to be very successful. But it's better to stay in your lane and just go, I'm not that smart, but you can hire 155 IQs. Find somebody that you look at them and you go, this is a person of discipline, motivation, self-motivation. They don't need external motivation. They're motivated from within, and spend all the time you can around them. Then you learn what to do from them. And the sad thing is, if you start a business and your first business doesn't succeed, the way your brain works, you have dopamine receptors. Now scientists have found that dopamine receptors add or subtract. So dopamine is the hormone or the chemical in your brain that is the reward chemical. There's multiple ones, norepinephrine, oxytocin, all these. But the way dopamine works is like when you go shopping and you buy cool shoes and you feel good, that's a dopamine release. And dopamine drives us. And what happens is when you fail, your body, they're like little hairs. They're not actually hairs, but we'll pretend they are in your brain. They fall off. You get less of them. And the penalty for having less dopamine receptors is you become less ambitious. You have this huge vision, you jump up 7 stairs, you trip, fall, hit your nose, and most people never come back. Win when you can, even if it's small wins. It's better for the brain.